I, Akshat Chopra, Public Relations Officer Corporate Communications, Power Grid, welcome you all to today's very special session presented by the Public Relations Society Delhi, the professional body of communicators which has turned a new leaf through its initiative of engaging with the young brigade of PR professionals from the corporate world. After the successful opening last week, as promised, we have continued our initiative by organizing the second volume of the Gen Next Ideas Exchange series, which will feature the future leaders who will talk about different topics from the field of public relations. We are thankful to the society's governing body members for their support, and we thank the chairman, Sri Naresh Kumar, GM Corporate Communications Power Grid, our always positive vice chairman, Dr. H.S. Paul, our dynamic secretary, Sri S.S. Rao, our guiding force joint secretary, Sri Sarvesh Tiwari, our inspiring treasurer, Sri J.P. Sharma, my fellow from PR fraternity, Kanvi Singhal, deputy manager, REC, our very lovable program director, Sri G.S. Baba, veterans, Sri J.P. Dhondial, former head PR TSDC, Sri K.N. Dhawan, former head PR Scope, Sri Rajat Gupta, MD Response Consulting Private Limited, and the very supportive Sri Jitendra Bakshi, Director Panchtattva Communications. Today, the program focuses on women in the field of PR and shall be run by them throughout. We have three speakers from three different segments, that is media, PSU corporate communications, and healthcare PR. I take this opportunity to also welcome Ms. Deepana Mehta, who, as an expert, will be observing our discussions and will present a summary at the end. She is currently serving as the Deputy General Manager, Corporate Communications at NTPC. She is a name to reckon with when it comes to company branding and publicity, and I'm sure we will be enriched by her wide experience. I would now like to introduce today's moderator, Ms. Neha Bhatnagar. She has been a media personality with over 16 years of diverse experience in Hindustan Times and PTI. She delved into the public relations field a decade ago and served as the information officer with the government of Gujarat. At present, she is leading the corporate communications team at EESL, which, by the way, is a 2,600 crore revenue churning super energy service company. Now, without any further ado, I request her to begin with the proceedings.
You all, sparing your weekend today for this great event that we are now going to host and enjoy for another 1 hour. So, Akshat has already introduced the speakers once. So, I'll just set the context and then we will start with the program immediately. Uh, the field of media and communication is, as you all know, highly mutable and ever evolving. As the market transforms and the consumer aspirations change, so do communication strategies and even the touch points. Even our media industry has not remained untouched from the tendrils of time, as we are witnessing a curious mix of digital and print media right now. The PR and media industry have a very symbiotic relationship of sorts. While the PR professionals have to engage with journalists to share corporate updates and opinions, the journalists in turn to depend on them to get an organization's perspective and point of view on various issues. Another vital cog of the communication machinery, which we are going to hear today, is the content. It is at the heart of every piece of communication, and an effective content strategy is absolutely essential for any organization. With the advent of COVID-19 pandemic that all of us have seen for the last 6 months, communication strategies have been altered to better adapt to the current situation. It has, in fact, created hurdles for communication professionals like us across sectors, and innovative measures are now the need of the hour, which we are going to watch out that how our eminent speakers going to even focus upon and touch upon this topic. So today we will dive deeper into how a healthy relationship can exist between the media and the PR industry, especially the women in PR, which can benefit both parties, the science behind effective content creation for the PR industry, and the communication roadblocks created by COVID in the healthcare sector. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our eminent speakers at today's event. They are smart and talented women communicators who make an effort to stand out with their really challenging as well as rewarding jobs that will continue to evolve as they do within their respective professions. So we have Ms. Richa Jain Kalra, Principal Anchor with NDTV India, Ms. Tanvi Singhal, Deputy Manager, Corporate Communications with REC Limited, and Ms. Harshita Kaur Gujral, Assistant Manager with Fortis Memorial Research Institute. So now I would like to have Ms. Richa Jain Kalra as our first speaker. Richa has been holding news anchoring experience of close to 2 decades. She also runs a blog, letsfigureoutlife.com. She doubles up as an author and has penned the ABC of News Anchoring book, which is the first one written by a news anchor in India and even Southeast Asia. So, Richa, now I would request to please share your insights on how has the relationship between PR professionals and media evolved over time.
Thank you, Neha, for the warm welcome. And I would like to thank the entire PR fraternity for having me here and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. And I look forward to this conversation, having some valuable exchange of ideas, thoughts, and creativity in this process. So, yes, starting with the relationship between media and PR, I think it has changed and evolved over the last 10 years. Like, I've been into news media as an anchor, as a journalist since 18 years, and I've seen this a sense of interdependency evolving between media and the PR fraternity. I would explain how. Earlier, the PR people would chase media for positive publicity, and media would turn to PR when they were in need. But now I think there's a sense of interdependency because there's a huge explosion of information. We are living in an age that is an information age, and media has expanded enormously through social media, through online media, through Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so many platforms are there for expression of news. So media needs you as well, and you also need media. So I think that's a boon for the PR fraternity because you can leverage that. I will speak more in detail ahead in the session, but I think this interdependency between media and PR is a good sign, is a good feature for the entire PR fraternity because when media expands, whether it's online media, whether it's publication, whether it's a news channel, whether it's an online portal, you need more resources, you need more sponsorships, you need more people joining in, more corporates joining in the form of sponsorships, in the form of ads, in the form of financial, I would say, sponsorships mainly, but these days campaigns are being run by news channels on various social issues that gives a very good opportunity to the corporate houses to engage with media and have loads and loads of positive publicity. So I think this is one of the best times for the media PR relationship, which has evolved beautifully in the last 10 years. And this interdependency is a good thing for you all.
Right, Richa. So, can you please further explain us like how can PR professionals leverage good publicity from media?
Yeah, sure. Uh, I would give one example. This happened many years back when I was a young reporter. So I had a news story. I wanted to do a story on one of the Tata Group's flagship companies, Westside, which is into merchandise and selling of clothes. And so I wanted to do something related to that. And I approached a PR person handling the PR of Westside. So, and she contacted her company bosses, people in Westside and people in Tata Sons, whosoever were taking the call at that time, and I didn't get a forthcoming response. Now, I was somebody who was giving them positive publicity, good media, something without taking anything, it's completely free. I was giving them coverage on national television. So the PR person was quite helpless. She apologized to me saying that she hasn't got any response from Tata's and they do not seem very keen to be, permitting coverage of West Side. I was to shoot there. I had to take my television crew to shoot a story there. So I was kind of aghast and surprised that a corporate house is declining media coverage, positive publicity, just because of ignorance. And then later, I wrote a very lengthy mail describing all this and telling the PR person to please forward it to her bosses in Tata's. And later she told me that she did. And they realized that they should have permitted, because I wasn't asking for anything for myself. I was just giving them publicity. So this was kind of an eye opener for them also. And later I used to get invites to their events. But I've seen a lot of corporates, though times are changing now. This episode happened many, many years back. Uh, they're not very forthcoming in dealing with media. You have to open your arms to media, not only when you need them, but also when they need you. So another thing, how to leverage media. So you have to build this relationship with media. As I said, you have to be in touch with them, not only when you need them, but also when they need you. Another thing is craft a story. Media sells stories. Every news is actually a story for media. Now, how do you leverage your story for publicity in media, for positive publicity? Now, this is actually an art. This is kind of a craft. A story means not a cooked up story, a story which has genuine features of news value. Anything that goes in media, where it's a publication, or either it's a news channel, or it's a news portal, or anything associated with media, has to have some news value for it to be published, for it to be broadcast, for it to be put before people. Now, you may think that whatever you are saying in your story, or in your press release, or in your communication to the media has news value. It may be of news value to you, for your company bosses, showing their achievements, showing how targets were met, or maybe something related to the CSR. Now, CSR is one thing which can be really leveraged well with the human interest angle. Uh, Most of the companies do not realize how to leverage CSR activities. This is something you all do. It's kind of mandatory. Every company invests in CSR. So why not take advantage of that? Why not weave a human interest story, an angle through which media would be lured into covering you? You don't have to chase media, because if you portray it the right way, they will come to you. You don't have to run or chase them. So the idea is basically how to craft a story, something that suits the news valueness, and something that fits into what is sellable in terms of media lingo, if I would say. Anything that goes in news channel or is printed has to have some, news point, some gist to it, something that should appeal to a vast variety of people, mass audience. So something that may be valuable to you may not be valuable to others. So it may not find space in media because it's not valuable or newsworthy to a large variety of audience or readers. So the idea is to basically tell a story, and tell a story with a human interest angle. And that will make your work as a PR person in attracting positive publicity a lot more easier.
Right, Richa. Thank you for giving us this amazing knowledge about, how we really need to, promote our own brands with the in the changing times. And but taking a cue from what you were telling us, so as a position that you hold of a media person, uh, can you also tell us more on, like, what actually media is? Expecting from the corporates vis-a-vis not only stories, but we get
Mm.
a lot of requests from media houses for, commercial supports and all. I mean, the equation has evolved over a period of time.
Right, right.
The way dynamics of economies have changed globally and nationally. So, as
Yeah,
your position as a senior media person, what all
yeah.
you would like, the all our communicator friends who have joined us here, to really focus upon in these changing post-COVID times?
See, media is all about timeliness. We have strict deadlines, especially because I have been into news media, into television channels. So I understand it. Anybody who works for news, more in the television, every second, every minute counts. So I think one big takeaway would be for all the PR persons. I know there are several veterans joining us here, and several of them listening here. I think one takeaway should be a very prompt and responsive approach towards media, because timeliness matters a lot to media people. whatever media it may be. Because if news is not presented at the right time, it's not broadcast at the right time, then it becomes stale. And what becomes stale is not news. So promptness, responsiveness, being helpful is what helps. And these days, it's not just one-to-one communication. One-to-one communication always has an edge with media people. But I think over Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, there's so many platforms where you can engage them directly. You talked about the commercial support. These are very challenging times. During COVID-19, and every business, every media house, every company has been affected. And this is a time where I think maybe calls for support are growing wider. But I would like to talk about the general scenario, which I initially also talked, how this relationship has evolved and the sense of interdependency has come into it. Media is dependent upon advertising revenues. Apart from that, there are no major revenues, no major sources of revenue. So one another vertical which has come up over the last 7-8 years is the corporate campaigns that I was talking about. If I give an example of the organization I'm working in, NDTV, we've done a huge variety of social media campaigns, social campaigns on Save the Tigers, Greenathon, on cleaning the Yamuna, Site Savers campaign, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, then Save the Hungry, Usha Silai School, done in partnership with Usha to make the rural women learn stitching so that they become independent. So numerous of such campaigns have been done, and any media house cannot do this on their own. Now, this is a very big opportunity for all of the corporates to chip in with media and gain positive publicity, because this kind of publicity is kind of unparalleled. So there's a sense of interdependency. I know the purse strings of every corporate, every company has some limit, has some limitation, but the more we support each other, the better it is for everyone, I guess.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. That was again great from you. Would you like to give some concluding remarks?
I would just say that this, though, is a challenging time, but is also a very nice time to bank in to cash in the challenges. Uh, Communication has become difficult. We can't meet people in person, but there are so many options evolving. Like this webinar is one of it. Earlier, we would not do webinars; we would invite people, and this kind of saves our time, energy. So it's time for us to think of ideas which are out of box, which are creative, and which kind of empower also. And this is what I'm also doing through my blog, Let's Figure Out Life. A slide was also played. Thank you so much for that. So I think this is a very challenging and important phase for all of us to look within and see how we can upgrade ourselves and do better.
Thank you, Richa. Thanks a lot. So this was Ms. Richa Jain Kalra, who shared her valuable experience with us. And on behalf of PRSI, we wish her more success.
Thank you. Thank you, Neha.
Okay. So coming to our second speaker, Ms. Tanvi Singhal, who is Deputy Manager Corporate Communications with REC Limited. Tanvi holds an MBA degree in Communications from MICA. She has been at the forefront in managing content, social media, and events at the Navratna CPSC that she represents. She is an advanced Spanish speaker and has interests in art, gender, and languages. So it's over to you, Tanvi. I presume that you are going to give a small presentation as well.
Hi, yes. Thanks, Neha. I'm going to talk about content today. I think Richa has already talked about the importance of content for PR, for storytelling, but I'm going to talk about content. We have been talking about it for long, but I'm going to talk about it especially because of the current times. Like Richa said, these are challenging times, but we have to cash in on these times. I'm sure. I mean, we are already 5 months down into this financial year, but a lot of our budget allocations for advertising and marketing, which used to be used for events, exhibitions, trade shows, um, they are not being used. And a lot of companies are now using that budget to create a space for themselves in the area of content. So which is why it is even more important now. It has always been important. We have been hearing content is king for long, but it's even more important now. So I'm not going to make it complicated. I'll just say you'll find a lot of definitions online in books, but I'll just say that content is all about value creation. So why create value? So content marketing, um, I believe, is a give first approach. So you're not, unlike advertising, you're not looking at breaking into what your audience is doing and asking them to buy your product or subscribe to your service, but you're giving first. You're giving good quality content. You're giving them value. You're giving them something to talk about, something to learn about, something to laugh about. So, which is why content marketing is different from advertising, and which is why you need to embrace it. So, when you go on to Google, all of you, I think you would hardly look for a website of a company. Your searches would look something like this, right? If you're visiting Mumbai, you would search for places to visit in Mumbai, or if you're looking to invest, you look for best mutual funds to invest in. And on your first search pages, you will find um, uh, suggestions like these, pages like these. And if you notice, this is by Fab Hotels, this is by Holidayfy, and here you see articles from Paytm Money and Grow. But if you click on these articles, they will not ask you to buy their product. They will give you genuine, authentic content. They want to help you at this stage. They want to be there for you when you have a query, when you have a problem, and they want to be the solution. They don't want you to buy their product right away. They just want to build that relationship with you and that credibility. And you will see that even in the B2B space. So if you search for renewable energy trends, you will see consulting companies like Deloitte, Accenture, or technology trends. They come up with credible, authentic, well researched white papers, right? So this is why you need to really embrace content marketing. And some of my favorite content marketing examples are here. We already know Coke Studio, very popular. Amul, we see topicals every day on social media and newspapers. Zomato is doing good work on social media, and of course, like, you must follow Mumbai Police Twitter account. And then Man Ki Baat is also huge on content. But talking about content, um, now you know, even if you realize that it's important, what do you write about? What content do you share? So first thing, content is not advertising. It's not talking about yourself. It's giving value to your customers. So to find out what content you should share, you have to find this sweet spot. So it is an intersection of what you want to say and what your target audience wants to hear. And you have to talk about something where your skill or your knowledge or expertise lies. And then how to know what your audience wants. You have to listen. You have to be there on social media, understanding what they're talking about. And the best way to make content is to uh, make it around their problem points. So if they come up with a lot of complaints about shipping on your social media, for example, or on your website or emails, you must make content on how you're making shipping easier or how to return products. That will actually reduce the number of grievances as well. But you can't just throw around content. Even if you create good content, you can't just throw it around whenever or how in whatever manner you want. It needs a lot of planning. It needs a strategy. It needs organization. While advertising is short term, it's for a short term goals. Content is for building long term relationships. So you have to think long term, and which is why your content should be relevant to your audience. It should be consistent. Consistency does not mean that you have to post every 2 hours or every day, but if you decide on a consistency for yourself, for example, if you're going to post every twice a week, then do it twice a week positively. It could be once a month, it could be once in 3 months, it doesn't matter, but you have to follow through with whatever timelines you have set for yourself. And quality is very important. I would say if you're going to push out bad quality content, it will do you more harm than not doing content marketing at all. But content marketing has been here for ages, right? We've had soap operas, which are actually called soap operas because they were programs by soap companies for their target audience. But it's become more complicated now because of content overload. There's social media. There's so many brands trying to reach out to you, all of them trying to give out good content. But here we're talking about content marketing. So the important part here is, apart from giving out good content, you also have to market it. So you need to put in a strategy, you need to put in money to market it, boost your post on social media, promote your post, use Google Ads, do market it, because even if you have great content, it is really difficult to reach out to your audience when your competitors, when other companies in your space are putting in money to reach out to them. There are a lot of ways you can create content, uh, more than what I've listed here, but video is by far the uh, most popular content form today. In fact, YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google. So you could try that space. Or if you're a B2B, then blogs, ebooks, white papers work as well. Um, so you can also post great content on social media like Zomato does. It's basically a lot up to the needs of your company, and then you can decide on what you want to with your content, what sort of format you want to follow, what sort of platforms you want to use. uh, I'm listing as some of the important tools here that you can use for creating and posting good content. um, these are some of the tools that I like and use, but there are millions of tools. I'll just say, for anything, not just in content marketing, but in advertising, in marketing, you need to do your research as per the requirements of your company, as per the resources you have, and then figure out what works best for you. Um, so yeah, I just leave you with this wise thought. It's no longer a time where you think about what content marketing can do for you, but you need to figure out what all you can do with it. So yeah, I just hope to see a lot of good content coming from all all the companies, all the representatives of the company that are here, and especially from the public sector company. Thanks.
Thank you, Tanvi. That was a very thoughtful and very crisp presentation that you gave to us. And you aptly summed it up that ask not what content marketing can do for you, but what you can do with content marketing. And that's what brings me to a very interesting, thought, which many of us must be thinking of, because most of us are from the PSU circuit.
Yeah.
So can you precisely focus upon, or maybe share a quick string of examples, like as PSUs, how do we define that which is the best platform or medium of content marketing to use for us, especially in this current evolving scenario? Because a lot of space in the communication circuit has now changed. The way we are now working, we are all mostly on digital medium now. So when our traditional कहते हैं variables like advertisements, sponsorships, events and exhibitions, they've all shifted to the digital platform now. So would you like to kindly guide all of us that what precisely the tools for content marketing we should be focusing upon for say another good year?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Neha. So, like you rightly said, uh, um, all the events, exhibitions, like all of that is shifting online now. Like, we are doing an online session right now. But for PSUs, what I don't see as of now, I might be wrong, it might be different in your PSUs, but what I don't see is the budget shifting to digital. A lot of PSUs are uh, putting out really good content, but I'm not sure how much money they are putting into it. Like I said, in content marketing, marketing is as important as creating good content, right? But I also see, I'm really happy to see a lot of PSUs and public sector organizations embracing it. Uh, we already shared examples of Man Ki Baat. Niti Aayog regularly puts out very good quality research papers, white papers. Just yesterday, I saw a certification program by BEE, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, which I think is great because it is a credible organization and people would want to take that certification. So I do see a lot of good work, but I would just request PSUs to put in uh, more money, shift a little bit of budget towards digital. That is, we are already aware that that is the future, but we have to convince what we have to do whatever it takes to shift the money a little towards that.
Yeah, we all need to know. And we have to convince our senior managements to basically, allocate us funds depending upon the new wave of the new campaigns that we are going to do as able communicators. So thank you very much, Tanvi, for this thoughtful presentation. And I'm sure that our esteemed audience has benefited well from your knowledge sharing and will include them in their upcoming PR campaigns. So now we are moving to our third and last speaker of the event, who is Ms. Harshita Kaur Gujral. She is Assistant Manager with Fortis Memorial Research Institute in Gurugram and is part of their PR and marketing team. An alumni of Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Harshita has been instrumental in bringing out positive stories and coverage on different aspects and development of procedures in healthcare sector. So over to you, Harshita. Welcome on board. And Harshita, last few months had been a game-changing exercise for you in your role as a healthcare communications specialist in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, which has hit all of us in varied degrees. So I would request you to please share your views on that. What are the key components a communication specialist in healthcare industry should focus upon and how that trend has changed post COVID-19 pandemic for PR in healthcare?
So first of all, I really hope that everyone is keeping safe and everyone is at home. And thank you so much for having me on this forum. Before this pandemic, we've seen that not due importance was being given to healthcare, whether it was by public, whether it was on digital platforms, or it was by the media, or we as an individual ourselves were not giving it that much of importance. But this pandemic has really shifted the entire gear where people are continuing to talk about. We are like 5 months into the pandemic, and we are seeing people continuously talking about healthcare industry. So first of all, healthcare industry and PR in that aspect is very, very huge because it brings under it umbrella like pharmaceutical companies, healthcare providers, medical aspects to it, the technology advancements to it. So it is a very, very huge scope for PR in healthcare sector, which was not being tapped earlier. Now, when we talk about healthcare and PR, why do the healthcare industries need PR people? So one is to bring out the positive aspect, the positive stories out to the people. Second is to bring out the human interest stories. Like Richa very rightly said, that what makes people write about you, it is the human interest stories and the angle that you really give to them. So it may be a story, you may be pushing out a story to the media which may be beneficial to you, but if it does not have a human interest angle, it is not going to be picked. If you are launching any new technology, if there is any advancement in any procedure, so it is your duty to bring out the positive aspects of that technology so that other people can also benefit from that. So second is community education. You know, there are so many diseases that goes around, but people really do not have any idea. Then how to educate them, how to tell them that, you know, which particular, disease falls under which category and which specialist do you really need to see in. Everybody is now turning to digital mediums and they go online and they've become these doctors themselves, which go online, see what disease is happening. So they may be coming up to the conclusions themselves. So we really have to, first of all, stop that. So that is where a role of a PR SPOC and healthcare comes in, by giving accurate information to the masses through media. So how this has evolved over the years, earlier we were seeing that only media presence for healthcare was in television or in newspapers. But now we have seen that transition. Because of the pandemic, doctors are coming up, they're coming forward. They are now so tech savvy that they are going on social media platforms, educating people through webinars, through Facebook live sessions. They are conducting now videos, small videos, so that people can actually understand and not panic. So the role has now enhanced so much that earlier we were pushing after media houses for positive aspects, for pushing out stories. But now media is turning out to us when they are writing their stories. They need, experts' comments, because they want the stories to be accurate. How has this helped? One, now the doctor's advices are available with you on your handsets. You do not really have to switch on to the television. You really do not have to turn over to the newspapers. It has become very tech savvy, and you are giving accurate information. Doctors are giving very accurate information to the masses, which is really helpful to them. How has this helped to reduce the panic in the masses? When news started flooding in that, COVID-19 has touched India and how it is going to further impact. So there were a lot of rumors which were floating on social media. How did we tackle that? So it was very important. We realized that, a lot of fake news is floating, which makes no sense. And it is creating a lot of havoc in the industry. So our doctors stepped up. Our doctors push out articles, informative articles. We depended a lot upon, people who were coming to us for treatments. They became our SPOC. When I say they became our SPOC, if any patient who was turning to us and he was treated well, and they realized, yes, this disease is treatable, and you do not really have to have this panic around. So they became our SPOCs, went out to the people, spoke about their positive stories. So we've seen this transition right from old age media to a new age media, where everything has gone into technology, and now people are all, going to social media sites for seeking inputs from the doctors. So how is it different from the normal? How is, working for healthcare sector PR is different from other segments of PR? So now you have this responsibility. You are, being a PR SPOC, have to put out a positive image, not just for the sake of your company, but also for the sake of the people, because you are in the public domain. You are in the sector which serves people. So in case if you are not giving out a positive image, if you are not giving the true picture, if you're not telling about the technological advancements, if you do all of these things, it is really going to benefit people. So your communication has to be very, very straightforward. You do not really have to mince your words here, because you are in the public domain, you are in the public eye. Whatever you say, or as a healthcare provider, your doctors or your management says, people are really going to, look into it and take your mark, your each and every word that you say. So you have to be very responsible when your communication is going out. So in terms of medical advancement, if any medical advancement has happened and you feel, it will benefit people, it has to reach to the masses for their own good. If you do not do that, you are not doing your job properly. If you're doing any CSR activities, that is your time to push across to the media, or for the media to write about you, about the good work, about all the social services that you're doing, the free health checkup camps that you are doing. If media is writing about them on your own, that as a public relations officer, you are doing a very right job. Next is that you have to be very, very available, proactive, 24/7, available for any crisis management. Like, media will come to you for your stake, for your, responses to whatever queries you have. And if you are not very approachable, if you are not very accessible 24/7, you may end up getting a negative response. You may have a answer to all the queries that they are putting across, because as layman, they may not, or a common man may not be able to understand the medical aspects. But as a PR spock, it is your responsibility that whatever technical languages are going out or medical knowledge is going out, people may not be aware. People may take it, in a different sense. So you have to simplify for media that what a particular medical term means, how it is going to help, and to avoid any of the crisis management. If they have any doubts, you have to ensure that you are available for them to sort out any of those doubts when it comes to the technical aspect of it. Because doctors or the management, they are not spokesperson. They are there to do their job. They can perform their surgeries, they can give the consultations, but at the end they cannot communicate what they're trying to say to the media or to the general public. So that is where our role comes in, to bridge that gap between the healthcare sector and with the media.
So you have rightly put it that how things have real drastically changed in the healthcare sector in the present scenario, and it's going to take up a very different track now, a very different passage for the healthcare communication professionals.
Right.
This gives me to think loud about that. You are a point spoke for not only dealing with media, but also how you are branding your own organization, the
Yes.
organization that you represent. And the
Yes.
way the way doctors and the senior management in hospitals used to deal with media through your teams has also now seen some kind of an evolvement. So what
Yes.
is it? So it being it a two-way process, you must be getting a lot of feedback, suggestions, opinion from media, and conveying the same back to your own senior management, the doctors, the frontline health warriors, as we had been calling them.
Right.
So how had been that exercise, going back to your own senior management and giving them the feedback from media? We would like to
Okay.
even hear on that. Yeah.
So one feedback when this pandemic really started was, earlier there was a lot of demand from media for authored articles. We need an article of 1,000 words. We need an article of 2,000 words. Now, as we all know, doctors really in this pandemic, there was so much havoc. They were occupied all of the time. So we started, receiving new sort of I won't say demands, but then new sort of innovations from media. And they started asking that, can your doctor participate in a podcast? Can your doctor, send in their audio bites and just send it to us, and we will attach videos with it and create a story around it? Can your doctors, participate in Facebook live sessions with us and conduct webinars for our employees? So this was a transition that came in from the media. So this was, and the management really realized it quickly that, this is how the phase is going to be in the coming days. Our doctors will have to evolve. They picked up and they really stepped up in the role where they were just service providers to becoming sort of knowledge givers. They were the knowledge givers earlier in the OPDs. Now they are the knowledge givers on social media. So this transition, this demand came really in from the media, because they wanted a whole lot of content was being said in social media platforms which made no sense, which was not accurate, which was in a way false, and it was creating a lot of anxiety amongst people. So this, what was the best way to tackle? We realized soon enough that people obviously staying indoors, staying at home, were relying a lot on social media because they were always on their phones, switching from one side to the other. So we quickly tapped onto that, and the doctors were very proactive because they realized that they need to participate in this to give out the important and essential information. Now, when you talk about how PR also helps us to leverage our marketing aspects, yes, definitely it helps. If you see, any particular hospital doing a successful surgery efficiently with best of the technologies, obviously if people read about it, a layman is obviously going to associate with it and say that, yes, this hospital did this story and probably my relative needs some surgery similar to that one. So obviously if I read about it, there is a trust. How does that trust happen? Through patients. Now, if a patient is not happy with a service, we cannot push out any story at all. So that trust that we create with the patients, that they talk positive about us, that helps us to bring out the positive PR, and that helps us to bring out more people to the hospital for their procedures.
Great. Thank you so much for, focusing upon this aspect. Thanks, Harshita. It was wonderful having you here. And, we really enriched from your information. So,
likewise, thank you.
I want to add one thing, if that's possible in the time limit.
Yeah, please, Richa, go ahead.
Yeah. Harshita just mentioned about how the doctors were very forthcoming in, media requests, giving bites, on doing Facebook Lives. I don't know how much of that is happening in the PSUs, in the limited companies of the government, because I've seen a lot of bosses in PSUs being media shy. So it's all the more challenging and interesting for the PR fraternity to encourage their bosses, their management, to be digital savvy, because this is the time where human to human contact is minimal. And this is also an opportunity for the management who are not media savvy to engage more with the media without being in direct contact, without seeing them face to face, without talking to them face to face. So you can send your bites digitally, you can record it and send it, you can do Facebook Lives. So this is a good opportunity for all the people in the management of all the corporates and PSUs who are media shy, who are not very forthcoming in dealing with the media, and they can get their hesitation out by being more forthcoming in this. I mean, this is the last thing that I would like to add. Thank you so much.
You are absolutely right, Richa. And, I would like to inform that most of the PSUs that are being represented here, our senior management has very actively and very swiftly moved to the digital mediums. I mean, at EESL, we have done close to some 65 webinars with our senior management in last 5 months that we have been working from home. And I'm sure that all our CPSCs have been doing this regularly at their organizations, and it has been a very enriching experience. There were challenges. We had to, groom our senior management, our colleagues, but yes, it has been a worthwhile doing something really worthy. So thanks, Richa, and we will continue to do it more. Now I will take this opportunity to, thank you all our young women communicators who had enriched us with their thoughts. And with the PR evolving so much, I think there is a great opportunity for women to take on more leadership roles across all the areas of communication. Thanks once again. Now I would request Akshat, who has been waiting, to play a very nice video for us, and then we will take up the session from. And I would request all the participants to please post their questions in the chat box, which we will be taking up in a short while. And rather than interacting on one-on-one basis, so I will read out all the questions to the speaker. And now I would request Ms. Deepna Mehta, DGM Corporate Communications at NTPC Limited, to please sum up the session for us.
Thank
Deepna,
you.
ma'am, over to you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Neha. It's a pleasure to sum up a very well collated presentations from Gen Next of media and communication professionals. I appreciate Richa, Tanvi, Harshita, and also you, Neha, for this in session organized by PR Society of Delhi. I'll start with the like the media, healthcare, communication first, which was very nicely presented by Harshita, which has become a part of our life and has engulfed our lives from last 5 to 6 months. As rightly put up by her, our communication or contact with the medical sector communication was only confined to either union budget, where you talked about allocations to the sector, or with some celebrity or some well-known individual falling sick and being admitted to a hospital, and what is happening, what are doctors doing. We look forward to the medical bulletins and all there. Suddenly the health related communiques, they became most sought after staple for us, because they were now being like, we were the target audience for us, they were meant for us. So our lives started revolving around them. Kudos to the communication professionals in the industry who brought out the medical fraternity, the corona warriors, to the forefront, and who guided us through it, the pandemic. Public awareness was created through creative short messaging in form of tips and guidelines. Organizations like WHO, like, which were beyond our comprehension, like became our first source of information. Ministry of Health made it to the front pages of like newspapers, and all the communication mediums uh, like were talking only about like what we are supposed to do during these times. Eminent doctors like Dr. Guleria and others became our heroes, and we looked forward to their messaging, like we used to look forward to some like a big anchor or a superstar performing for us like at night during the peak hours news bulletin. Now it was the doctors we were looking forward to. Whether it was Desi Karas or the vaccinations in making, we all seem to know it all. And like our kind of we wanted more and more information on it, so that we could look after ourselves and our families. Yes, she has talked about fake news floating also at these such times, which were like very well curbed by the medical fraternity and the PR or corporate communication professionals in the hospitals through right messaging. The innovative ways of messaging were devised, which were accurate and simple, and which were meaningful to the common public like us. As the content is the king to attract people, this takes me to the second speaker, Tanvi, who spoke about developing good content for media strategy. Right content can create value and can help us building community of influencers. How to create and share good content that stands out among the gamut. Examples of Coke Studio, Amul, Zomato have definitely stood out. Sometimes a massive advertising campaign does not get you the kind of eyeball that a well-designed, researched, and relevant template of interest on social media, gets more eyeballs than a campaign. So many times we say, no, I didn't see that advertisement, I didn't see that campaign. So, but sometimes very small things make a difference to our lives, and we all tend to remember it. Social media listening, relationship building with communities are new tools of management and media strategies. Now, how to leverage media for PR is the next topic, which Richa, as an experienced and articulate media person, brought to forth. And she talked about timeliness and of news sharing with the media, which I, as a corporate communicator, has have give more utmost importance to. Like for me, it is my, like in the sense, first job, or the like my bread and butter, that like in the sense, no media query should go unanswered. Even if I have to say no, I have to close it. It should not linger on. So that is one way of experience sharing I can also do on this platform. So there is a Richa talked about two-way communication or relationship between media and PR person, how they are linked and how they are interdependent. In my professional life, I have seen, like, the change in a paradigm shift in media management. Like 15 or 20 years back, there used to be just one Doordarshan, and getting your news on Doordarshan used to be the thing. After a VIP program, after a major program in the company, it was the main job of the PR person to put it through that. And later on, after 5 or 6 years of that, we were, like, in the sense, instead of running after Doordarshan, now we were being chased by media persons, that they wanted bite from our people, because there was a media explosion sort of, everywhere. So advent of social media and podcasts, short films, blogs, has changed the way we communicate. And there are numerous opportunities to collaborate with media houses, like Richa has rightly put. So the content and crafting of good media stories uh, remains the key always, and it has been. Storytelling continues to be the winner and is bound to stay forever. As PR professionals, I would say, the corporate communicators, as we are called, our role is to shape and maintain the image of our organization. Our roles are sought after at the time of crisis management, brand building, and formulating communication strategies for both internal and external stakeholders. Besides 24/7 media management and monitoring. These are the key areas that a corporate communication person has to be ready with all the time. In last 4 months, when the whole world seemed to have come to a standstill, we and sometime it really seemed there was no economic news. There was nothing for newspapers to approach to kind of share with us the essential, and as essential services, our organizations, the public sectors, kept moving, and corporate communication professionals they kept regular in touch with on all the social media platforms, and reached out through multimedia campaigns with social messaging, the messages, the way PSUs served the communities around their stations, educating and encouraging their own employees, and to showcase and to keep on showcasing our achievements. And we kept on, kept the organizational communication channels brimming with activities. Kudos to our communication warriors who worked relentlessly during the period and brought out the out-of-the-box communication solutions during the period. So with that, I request Neha to take over.
Yeah, thank you, Deepna ma'am. That was a wonderful summary of the entire session, along with your own years of experience in the PR and corporate communication industry. That we have been seeing you at the forefront since our careers began in the PSU sector, and mine so before being a journalist for a decade, even before that with you. So now I would like to take up the Q&A. I have one question for Tanvi. That sometimes we are asked to push some content to media which doesn't have any news value per se. How do we deal with this challenge? Tanvi, over to you.
Yeah, this is from Rao, sir, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's a valid problem all of us face in the PSU. But I think the management wants to push something, I think they see some value in it. And obviously, as Richa said, we can't just push out random content that doesn't make sense for them. But I think we could still try to get more data, create some story around it. What I personally like to do is search for these topics online, Google for these topics, and find out if there are similar news articles and what all they are mentioning. Like what all details do they mention in these articles in credible um, sources. I think if Richa might want to add more to it, but that's for me.
Yeah, sure. There would be pressures, I understand, on the PR fraternity, on the PR professionals, from their management to push their achievements, to push that the company has met with their targets. But it may not appeal to a large variety of people, and hence it may not find a space in the national media. But nowadays, I think there's so much space in the media. There's so much variety in media, social media, online media. There's so many mediums that if you have a good relationship with media people, I think it's not a difficult thing to get space somewhere, if not in the limelight, if not in the headlines. Maybe somewhere you can get space in some social media platform of some news organization. It is possible. I think that's not that difficult a thing if you have your resources in the right place.
I think media people have been kind enough to give this dedicated space in their newspapers where they where they gladly post these stories,
Yes,
corporate buzz, corporate corner, all of that. So maybe yeah, we
yes.
could do that. Thanks.
Something I would like to supplement from our madam, because sometimes we have to follow the protocol of our company policies and being a public sector and government sector, madam. So we are very conscious about whenever we meet the media and whenever we talk to the media. So that is the reason we are very everyone, whenever we talk, we are very talk in very limited manners. That is the basic reasons, madam.
Can I now intervene because we are running out of time? We are already 12:45 and there are a couple of questions, very interesting questions that have come up. I'll just quickly take them up, a few of them, and maybe we can respond individually to rest of the questions with our PRSI members. So one question is from Rao sir to Harshita, and another one is from Pragyan Agarwal again to Harshita. Harshita, I'm joining the two questions, and
Yeah.
uh, another one from Dr. Ramachandran, Solus Media, Hyderabad. So these pertain to your portfolio. That in these pandemic times, WhatsApp has become a doctor spreading all sorts of health treatment and therapies related info. You as a healthcare PRO, what is your advice to society at large? This is one. Then uh, the second one is that going forward, what do you think of the future of healthcare PR given the fact that telemedicine and digital initiatives have become order of the day owing to COVID? Over to you, Harshita.
So going with your first query regarding WhatsApp. So one, you have to really, be certain of that whatever query or whatever information is coming on WhatsApp, whether it is authentic or not, because you will see a lot of times those are certain creatives made at home by certain people, which have no authenticity at all. So until and unless it is, you read it on any media site, you read it online, so you should really not rely on WhatsApp, because one WhatsApp message will tell you that that you should have warm water. The other one will tell you that you should have kada. The third one will tell you that you should have adrak. So if you combine all of these things, you will literally burst, because this is not authentic information that is coming out. So one is, please do not rely on the messages that are coming on WhatsApp. They are created just to be shared as forwarded messages, but they do not have any reliability, any credibility behind it. So please do not rely on WhatsApp and do not become your own doctors. Please don't do that. Second is that how the industry will transform, seeing that we have started telemedicine. So it is a very positive initiative of starting telemedicine, bringing about communication around it and making people aware of it. Then how did we do that? It was only through digital medium. Now we've evolved. Now that earlier doctors were camera shy, they were media shy. Now they no longer are. So this is a huge transformation that we've seen in our doctors, and we continue because we've got a lot of support from media in the past 5 months. They have been very supportive, very forthcoming. So this, we hope that we can able to give this much of credibility and importance to healthcare even in the coming times, even if it is only through digital. That will also work as long as the message is going out.
Yeah, because with this information overload currently, there is
Right.
a fair chance, like Mr. Pragyan Agarwal has rightly said, there's a fair chance that your communication also gets enveloped in this flood. And
Right.
given the healthcare sector being quite sensitive in nature, a lot of cautious measures need to be taken. Thank you,
Right.
Harshita. Now coming
Thank you
back to
so much.
Richa, SS Rao sir has asked you a question on the chat. I would like everyone to benefit from that.
Yeah.
That he wanted a small
Your
clarification.
your video is off, Neha.
Sorry. Rao sir, I'm really not a very uh, visual person. I'm a very
No,
practical
no.
person.
But we would like to see you.
Thank
We'd
you
like
so
to see
much.
you smiling.
Thanks a lot. So
And you are
coming back to
moderator, and you are
Yeah,
a
yeah.
great moderator. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
just
Please.
want to see you all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
you.
thank you
Please go
everyone.
ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks
please go
sir.
ahead.
So Richa, Rao sir wanted to know that he wanted a small clarification that we as corporate communicators have a tendency to shoot the same press release to all forms of media, and I think because we believe that this one size fits all approach does not gel well with electronic media. So what do you specifically look for in a press release when electronic media as an electronic media person?
I would say from the perspective of a media person and not just an
Yeah.
electronic media person, any
Okay.
media person, whether
Okay.
that person belongs to print media, electronic media, digital media, web media, any kind of media, wants clarity. So, and one size does not fit all. So a press release for print media can have scope for a lot of depth because newspapers do have space for in-depth news, and that is what we look forward to in newspapers. But when it comes to television, it has to be crisp, it has to be to the point, and along with the press release, the PR professional has to make sure that the bites are forthcoming, the interviews are forthcoming, the visuals, coverage is forthcoming. And for the web media, which is generally being, apart from everybody, mainly consumed by the young audience, apart from everybody else, I think it needs to have that character of no, I would not say youthfulness, but of having more usefulness to the audience on net. Uh, any form of press release that you are circulating among media persons needs to have that news value. It would make great sense if not to write lengthy paragraphs and, sum it up crisply, do it in bullet points, and so that whatever your achievements, whatever your messages goes across clearly. And it would be great if you could design different press releases for different variety of media.
Thank you, Richa. And there is a question for Tanvi from Gurmukh Baba sir, and one is from while Gurmukh sir is sharing it with me, Dr. Ramachandran from Solus Media. Tanvi, he wants some quick fix tools, tips from your experience on which you follow to create a killer content for all your social media needs. So can you just give us a quick fix tool for that?
That's a good question. And killer is the keyword here. Everybody wants killer
Yeah.
content today. But it's it's not that quick a process. It needs a lot of work, research, organization. But if you're struggling with where to start, I can give you one really cool resource, Answer the Public. So if you haven't started with content at all, just go to this website, answerthepublic.com. I have posted it on the chat. Everybody can do this, and there you will find out things that people are talking about in your field. So if you're looking for information about smartphone, you just type in smartphone and you will get all the questions that people are asking. So I think that's a good start and hope it helps.
Okay. Another quick one, Tanvi from Gurmukh Singh Bawa, sir. How to manage remote selling in the era of 6-inch screen? How to assess the prospect, probe, and how to clinch the deal?
Mm, okay. Could you like
You want me to
repeat?
repeat it? Yeah, I'll do that. So he says that how to manage remote selling in the era of 6-inch screen. Or maybe Gurmukh Singh sir can
For mobile? Yeah.
explain.
So
Yeah, explain it further.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
yes.
Right, okay. Hello, Tanvi. One of the best presentation. Maybe I would like to get a copy later on, though I have made some screen captures, right? Thank you very much. And no, the things are challenging. You know, it's very challenging. We are not able to go out. Clients are not able to come in. What they are selling and what we want, we cannot talk, he cannot demonstrate. And everything is confined to 6-inch screen. What are the challenges? So that we should have a win-win situation for the media as well as for ourselves, since you have seen both sides. That's why I have raised question to you, right? I know whatever best justice you can do in the given time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now I would request Shubham to please give the vote of thanks and wind up this wonderful session.
With this, we come to the end of today's wonderful program, What Strong Women Leaders Mean to PR's Future Pros. I'm sure for the next generation of communicators, female initiative and mentorship is going to make all the difference. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the PRSI governing body members once again. Our chairman, evergreen chairman, Sri Naresh Kumar ji, our positive Vice Chancellor, Dr. H.S. Paul ji, our dynamic secretary, Sri S.S. Rao sir, our guiding force and joint secretary PRSI, Sarvesh Tiwari ji, our inspiring treasurer, J.P. Sharma ji, executive member, Akshat Chopra, who was also the technical assistant for today. I also extend my thanks towards veterans Baba Sahab, Dhondial ji and K.N. Dhawan sir. And I also thank Mr. Rajat Gupta ji and Jitendra Bakshi ji for creating the necessary buzz. Special thanks to Chairman PRCI, Chairman Emeritus PRCI, Mr. Jairam sir, and T. Vinay Kumar, President of PRCI. And from Nagpur chapter, I want to thank Ashish Sayalji. And last but not the least, to all the students and faculty who have joined us in today's webinar from GD Goenka University, Sona Road, Patna Women's College, Makhanlal Chaturvedi University of Journalism, and Admas University, Kolkata. We will be coming back again. Stay tuned and watch out for more. We will be here next Saturday again with more updates, more trivia. All the best and thank you.
Thank you so much, Shubham. And I again extend a very warm thanks to each one of you who have spared a time on a weekend. And we shared a lot of thoughts, knowledge, and our opinions with each other, benefiting each other's professional spaces. And we look forward to these web series, in the coming days, because now we are all digitally well established, quote unquote. So thanks the speakers and thanks the participants.